Welcome back everyone to another Mattcast, and I get to speak with Mr. Bevers, who runs one of my favorite YouTube channels, where he cracks packs for a cause and donates money to charities, while also doing Thursday Shuffles, where he cracks open booster packs, booster boxes, and any Magic the Gathering product in between. And our conversation is coming up next. Welcome back to another Mattcast. I am joined with the Mr. Bevers on YouTube, who runs a Magic the Gathering channel where he opens up packs, he does giveaways, and he has a great series called Shuffle Thursday. Shuffle.
The Thursday Shuffle, yep.
And that is one of the ways I actually found him on YouTube over a year ago. Actually, I started watching his content. So I'm absolutely pleased to have him on the show here today. And Mr. Bevers, why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, absolutely. I'm pleased to be here as well. Thank you for inviting me. I greatly appreciate it. I think actually when we talked previously, you had found the One of Everything series, which right now I'm not doing anymore because of the world as it is. But yeah, the Thursday Shuffle is a great little one. Mondays we do the Monday Madness, where we give away 3 booster packs just to go and check out featured creators every week. So there's lots of giveaways on the channel. Do charity videos every Sunday with other content creators. So lots of good stuff. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to have you. Like, it's always fun to chat with other YouTubers who make similar content around the same subscriber level. And you've been making content, I think, longer than me actually on YouTube.
Probably, yeah. I think I started up. I started up in a really weird fashion. So my content creation career started with writing articles for a indie video game website that was started by a friend of mine out of Hamilton region in Ontario. And we basically were just writing about all the indie games that were coming up on Steam Greenlight program. And from there, we sort of branched out and moved into basically other indie games and started streaming on Twitch and that kind of stuff. And then at that time, I was already playing a lot of Magic and opening a lot of packs. And I thought to myself, well, why am I not just filming this while I'm opening all these packs? I mean, I'm just opening them for my own collection. Why am I not just filming this and sharing it with people? So I started doing it on Twitch, probably about 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago at this point, on our group channel. And it was getting like really good traction. Like it was getting, I was getting like over 60 concurrent viewers, right? Like, and this was just starting out, and I was like, wow, okay, this is like popular and people are interested in seeing this kind of thing. Okay, interesting. Maybe I'll keep doing it. So I talked to the team and I said, I want to put these out on my YouTube channel, like on my own YouTube channel. And they got all upset because they were like, well, you're taking our only good content from Twitch and moving it to your own. And I was like, well, I want to monetize it if I can. And right now on Twitch, I can't do that because we're got the group channel, right? And no one else is putting money into these packs or anything. So like, it's my content basically. So like, I kind of want to do it on my own thing so that I can do what I want with it, as opposed to having to worry about you guys and this other channel, right? And it's not that I want to stop doing the other channel. It's just I just didn't want to, kind of like mesh them together, so that I could basically do whatever I want, like do giveaways whenever I want, worry about all that kind of stuff. Is like now it's just isolated to me, as opposed to I have to running it by the group and being like, I'm going to do this to our community. Is that okay? Like, I thought it would just be easier, but they got really upset about it. So that group fizzled and died. And then I started my own content on YouTube and my own content on Twitch. And that's where I am now. So I think like my first box that I opened that went up on YouTube was like Shadows over Innistrad, I think.
Okay.
And it was like when I was first starting out. So like I actually think it's not listed on YouTube. I think it's up there, but nobody can see it. And it's because
you mean it's unlisted right now, or you mean it's just so buried that it's hard to find?
No, like it's actually unlisted because I wasn't happy with it after I started making like specific content for YouTube. Because it was an hour-long video of me cracking a single box of Shadows over Innistrad, right? Because I did it on Twitch, and so I was talking to chat the whole time while opening the box, and so it was slow because there was a lot of banter back and forth. And I was like, this video is way too long for YouTube for like an unboxing of a single box of Shadows of Innistrad. So
Yeah,
what I
it's
did when
pretty
I
long.
edited it, I sped it up by like, I think 6 times to make it shorter. It still only made it like 20 minutes basically,
With
right?
music, you probably put
And so,
music in the
and so yeah,
background.
like I
Yeah.
started to put music in it, and I was like, this still just looks, it looks and sounds bad, and it's just too fast, and like it just looks weird because of how fast I had to speed it up just to get it under like that 20-minute mark, basically. And I was like, it's not good. So I uploaded it, and then I watched it on YouTube to see what it looked like, and I was like, nah, I'm not even gonna list this video. And so I just left it there.
Yeah, you know, it's funny that you say that because something happened similar with my channel where I opened up a few boxes before, and now they're unlisted. And the first boxes that I opened on my channel, I was hungover, and it was like I bought a booster box. I went on my LGS, and I went out drinking with a friend, and then I had it in my backpack the whole time. And I was originally going to go home and just film this box opening, be my first video on my channel, but we ended up having too many drinks at the bar. I woke up in the morning, and for some reason, I thought it was a great time to film it. And my voice is all hoarse and everything. Like I think I even cough a few times. I got nauseous, and yeah. And then I ended up putting it up, and then I ended up taking it down almost immediately after I realized, I'm like, this is probably not the best way to introduce my channel to YouTube. So yeah, I just ended up making that unlisted. But yeah, box openings, they're a lot harder to do to keep them engaging than people think they are. I think that's why a lot of people just throw music on top, because when you're trying to, you know, make relevant comments about particular cards, you know, the flavor of a set or something, you got to be very consistent. And you can't make too many errors because you'll be called out on YouTube. That's what
so like
that's what I've realized.
My personal experience with unboxing cards and like cracking packs is I've moved away from doing full boxes now in one video, just because it takes too long. And like you said, it's too hard to be engaging for the entire video.
Yeah.
And not just that, but like you said, I mean, people are gonna, you know, jump all over you depending on what you say about the cards and things. But you got to remember also out there, all of you, and not just me and Matt here, but everybody out there watching, is when it comes to these types of things, it's always opinion based, right?
Yeah.
And people are gonna say that I think this card is good and I think this card is bad. You're always gonna have people on opposite sides of the fence. Doesn't matter who you're talking to or where, because everybody has a different play style. Right? Everybody has a different play style. So you're going to always end up with people who are like, this horribly garbage card that, you know, isn't going to be worth any money. It's not played in any formats.
Yeah.
I love it. Right? I love this card because it does this weird thing that I want to do in this EDH deck or in this standard deck, right? I want to do some weird thing with it. Like you're always going to end up with those things. So I've taken it to heart to be like, I'm going to talk about the cards during my openings where I just talk about why I love them or don't love them based on my experience playing with them, or from just seeing it and being like, this seems like a cool card. I don't know how well it'll work, but it looks interesting, right? Like, so.
Well, I was just going to cut you off there. Another thing to note is like opening booster boxes is very expensive. If you're going to do that like almost on a daily basis, you have to be quite rich, because you're looking at 100, especially here in Canada, what, about $150 minimum for just a regular draft booster box nowadays?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I remember the good old days of $100 booster boxes in Canada. I remember that.
What was that, like 9 years ago? That was like
something
$100.
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, about that.
They went up like by 50%.
That was around like the original Zendikar block.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. Right. And then it just slowly started to creep up.
I remember even around Gate Crash.
Yeah.
They're around $100.
Yep.
Around that. I mean, it depends on the LGS you go to.
Like 100, 105, 110, somewhere in there, right? Still nowhere near the 150 that they are now, you know, plus tax.
Yeah,
right?
the plus, and we have high taxes here in Canada.
Yeah.
And I knew that the funny thing is, when I found out you're Canadian, it was because of your Monday series where you did one of everything.
Was it the one Monday? Of everything, Wednesdays.
Wednesdays, one of everything Wednesdays, yeah. And you brought out one business card, and I think it was face-to-face games or something. And I was like, huh? And like, I know there's one in Montreal, but you definitely don't sound, you know, like you're from Quebec.
That's true.
So I was like, oh my God. So you're another YouTuber that's in close to me in Canada.
Right around. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's so bizarre when you kind of discover that on YouTube. it's almost as if the algorithm knows that I'm another Canadian watching. And hey, well, here's a Canadian YouTuber. Why don't you check him out?
Right?
Very,
Yeah.
very strange. But there's not too many big Canadian YouTubers who make Magic the Gathering content. I mean, unless you know of some, not ones that speak openly about them being Canadian. There's definitely is a handful. But as if you think about how many, American big Magic Gathering content creators out there, it's a very stark difference.
Yes, there are a lot more. I mean, when you have to always put it into comparison, right? I mean, the US definitely has 10 times our population, right? So I mean,
Yeah.
like the fact that they're going to have more, obviously, I mean, it's just guaranteed that they will. But I think you're right that the difference in the number of big MTG YouTubers in the United States is probably more than 10% larger than the Canadian ones,
100%.
right? So
yeah.
So, there is a stark difference. And I think this goes into what you and I were talking about previously when we had our other conversation is like, I don't know, part of me just feels like YouTube pushes American content creators more than it pushes Canadian ones. I don't know why that is, or if that's even true, but it just seems that way, right?
Feels that way for you,
Yeah, it feels that way from the way the videos are recommended. Like, I don't know. I don't really see my videos being promoted on other MTG content creators' videos as much as other content creators who are in the States.
Yeah, and your content is pretty good. Like you have a great microphone, you have a good on-camera voice and everything. And that's what I remember watching your content when you were in my suggested feed years ago. I remember being like, hey, I like this guy's voice. And I liked your intro and everything. It's very professional.
I appreciate it.
It's just weird that small content creators, for whatever reason, I don't know what it is with YouTube. They just will not share like their content after a certain while. I'm struggling with some of the same issues right now. Like I had a pretty good run on YouTube when it comes to making content. But the last few weeks has been pretty rough.
Yeah,
well, I don't know when this is going to go out.
I saw your video about it. Your update. Your talking head video.
It's just it's just one of those really frustrating things because I thought I was putting in more effort into the videos, more effort into the content that I'm producing, but like I was getting less rewarded from YouTube. And it was just one of those things. I felt like I was going, like I actually felt like I was going crazy when I was going to make that video because I didn't want to make it. I was like, oh God, I don't want to make this video.
Right.
But I just feel like I have to, because like if this kind of just fizzles out and I put all this work into this, like I have other channels as well that I'm not really producing much content on because of the pandemic. So I've been stuck at home. That's why I redoubled my efforts on the Magic channel. And it felt like I was getting like a little bit of hope, and then it was just getting sucked away from me at the worst possible time. So it is frustrating. I know we were talking about this before when we filmed your charity video, which I don't know if it's out by now. Maybe it'll be out when we're recording this, like when this is out, but
I don't know.
But yeah, it's one of those frustrating things. You just have to keep creating and then just kind of hope. I hear different things about the algorithm. Some people will tell me one thing, then I'll read other articles saying another thing, and you just kind of pick the pieces and what you think works best for you.
So I've talked to some other content creators who sort of like started around the same time as me, and have since blown up quite a bit bigger than my channel, and making similar content, right? And I've asked them, like, what have you done to get your videos seen, right? Or whatever, or like, what do you do to promote them? And they tell me nothing. Like, they're like, I didn't do anything. I just like put the videos out. Like, I've experienced the same thing. Just picked up, right? And I'm like, well, that's weird. Like what is your SEO, different, or like what's your rating on those things? And like, I've gotten screenshots of other people's analytics from YouTube about their SEO and all that kind of stuff, and it's always worse than mine, right? Like all of my videos, I make sure my SEO is like as close to 100 as possible, basically.
I don't even think SEO matters, to be honest.
It doesn't. It apparently it doesn't, right? Is my point, right? So it's like, why is this even a thing then? Like, why is this a thing that we care about if it doesn't even make a difference in whether your videos are promoted, right? Like,
I mean, it's supposed to make your videos easier to find for the search engine, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be recommended to people in the suggested videos, right? So it's a little different. That's what I think it is, because I'll look at other creators and I'll look at their tags because I have TubeBuddy. I don't know. Everyone's got a different,
Yep.
add-on for their
I have
browser.
TubeBuddy as
You
well.
have TubeBuddy as well. So it'll show me like rankings. It'll show me tags people use in videos, and like I see how minimal effort. I'm like, this person scores only 30%, and they only have 6 tags. Like, how is my video doing worse, or like how is my content doing worse? And it's just one of those things where it's really a mystery, the algorithm. Some people say that it's mostly all about engaging thumbnails, engaging titles, and then how long a percentage of the video are you going to, get of your viewers' attention.
Correct. Yeah.
So I thought it was more just about, tags, good titles, sure, maybe good thumbnail as well, and just getting people to subscribe and like. But apparently likes don't even matter really anymore. Like they're, in fact, they might even be trying to phase them out, because I know they're trying to get rid of dislikes recently. And then there was a weird glitch where likes were being deleted on people's videos. And now
I think I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, they might very well be getting rid of it, because they're going to turn into like YouTube TV eventually, and people don't like their videos on Amazon, right? They don't like, let me just make sure on Netflix they hit that like button.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a redundant
funny you mentioned
feature.
that, because my partner definitely does that.
Yeah.
Like on Netflix, rate that a 5, rate that a 1.
Oh, so there is a rating system. Yeah. So YouTube used to have the star system, right? Didn't they? What was one of the first things they had?
That was like way
long
back
time
though.
ago.
Like that's you're talking
2006, 7.
Oof, that's long. Yeah. That's a long time ago.
But that's what I mean. There was a form of rating.
Yeah.
And that would suggest videos, I believe. Actually, before, it was when YouTube was in its beta phase, when it's really young, it was more just about views. So you could just pay for views, and then it would push your video to the top. Say, hey, look how many views this has. And then YouTube got way more sophisticated with its algorithm, and then the likes took over, and then people would found a way to manipulate likes. And then next thing you know, now it's like a very mysterious algorithm and how it works. Correct. I think it's all about engaging thumbnail, title, and how long you can retain the person's attention for. That's really that must be the only way.
Like, well, the thing is, right, is that the way the algorithm's going to push your video, there's almost no way that they're going to be pushing it based on your thumbnail. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They could be using some sort of.
They can't push it that way. No.
Yeah, like they could be using some sort of like picture capture algorithm to see whether it's got bright colors and blah 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 blah. But like that means nothing necessarily to whether the content is actually, something that's relevant or not to the person who's watching the previous video or whatever. So they're definitely not going to be using like the thumbnails more for getting people to click on your videos, or your click-through rate, right? That's what's going to pull those people in. So that makes sense in that aspect. But the algorithm itself, guaranteed, it's probably using some like combination of various things. One of them being, of course, the video retention, like how long did they watch percentage wise of your video, right? So if you have someone who clicks into your video and watches the first minute and then fast forwards and watches the last minute of your video, really they've only watched 2 minutes of your video. So then the algorithm goes, well, the retention on this video is not 12 minutes like the video is. It's only 2 minutes. And so we're not going to recommend this because people aren't watching it for the full 12 minutes, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like, and I've been noticing that too, that if people skip through videos to find out certain things, specifically my market mover videos, which I'm in the correction phase right now, I'm really going through my analytics, and I'm trying to find the best possible way to retain attention from my audience. Right. So I've been like restructuring the way that the video is edited, like instead of giving them what they want to see the most, which is the regular movers. Hey, which ones have went up the most in value in the last day? I'm going to try to save those for the end. So that way, give them a few things before that, and then give them that at the end. And then I'm going to trim the endings. I think I made the ending too long. I was getting a lot of drop-offs at the end of the video. Right. So I'm going to try to way to trim it. I might even just shorten the video by a minute or two. But I like it right around the 10-minute mark. Apparently that's like the sweet spot for YouTube. They want videos to be 10 minutes. This is what I've heard. This is what I'm saying. You can hear so many different things from people. I don't know if that's accurate. I do know you can get a mid-roll. If it's your videos over 8 minutes, you can have you can have that. So maybe that's why people say that.
So the 10-minute mark was what it was required before. So like I think it was just last year or 2 years ago they made the change to 8 minutes.
I think it was less than that. I think it was like a year ago.
It was like in 2020 that they made the change to 8 minutes, I think. But prior to that, it was 10 minutes was what was required to get a mid-roll ad, right? So the YouTube algorithm pushed videos that were 10 minutes or more. So people were actually essentially putting in like buffers on the beginning or the end of their videos to make sure that it actually hit that 10-minute mark so that they could get the mid-roll ad and have the algorithm pick it up and push it. Because if your video isn't getting that mid-roll ad, it's less likely to be pushed, right? And so another problem with my channel, maybe, and maybe this is because I actively make my videos less than 8 minutes. And I do that because I don't want mid-roll ads.
Interesting.
Because YouTube has started putting mid-roll ads in every video that is 8 minutes or longer.
And sometimes people, when they get an ad in the middle of a video, they actually drop off the video.
That's right.
Yeah. That's another thing I've noticed. When you have too many ads, sometimes people are like, I'm clicking off. So you got to be careful about how many mid-roll ads you end up getting in a video. Because sometimes YouTube will actually place more in, especially if your content's doing well one week. They'll be like, let's throw a couple more ads.
They definitely do.
Yeah. You got a bunch of drop-offs. Sorry about that.
Yeah, and they changed it just last year, right? Like that was when they automated essentially the ad placement and just said every video that's over 8 minutes is going to have ads automatically placed in the middle of it as long as you have monetization turned on.
I think I think they even now have ads on channels that aren't monetized.
Correct.
Yeah, I remember my friend who I had a YouTube channel with him years ago, and then he ended up making all of his videos private. Think about a year or 2 years ago, we had like a comedy channel. But what happened was when he heard the news that they were just gonna throw ads on there anyways, because his channel got demonetized, we weren't making content for a while, and a lot of videos were like under 4 minutes, like little sketches. And I remember he was like, I freaking knew they would do that. I knew eventually YouTube, they just didn't want to give revenue to small creators. But they'll still run ads on your channel regardless nowadays. And I was like, that's the way it goes. They want that ad revenue, so they're not going to share it with the smallest creators, which is why I'm always afraid they're going to keep changing the goalpost. First you just needed the 1,000 subs. No, you don't even need 1,000. You just needed 10,000 hours watched.
You didn't even need 1,000 subs.
And then it was like, now you need 1,000 subs plus 4,000 hours watched. So if you're like a channel that just does cartoons, like, because that takes a lot of work. So just a 1 minute cartoon could be an extensive amount of work. And you get nothing. You're getting no revenue. And then they change the algorithm to make it longer videos.
Correct. I have a funny story about that exact scenario though, and that is my channel actually got partnered with YouTube the month before they made the change to requiring 1,000. So I was partnered for a month and then no longer partnered.
And then you had to get
like a month later. Yeah, like it was like a month later, and all of a sudden I wasn't partnered anymore. And I was like, so I got a month of ad revenue and then nothing for another, like, I think it was like another 6 months, because I was like 6 months away from hitting the 1,000 mark on my subs. Right. And I was just like, so this was so weird that this happened. Like it happened like right as like I was right on the cusp. I think it was at like 800 and something subs. Right.
Yeah.
And I got partnered and I was like, oh, sweet. I hit the watch time requirement. Right. Awesome. Now I'm partnered. I can run ads on my stuff. Great. And I got all the extra options in the studio, right, to turn on all of the things. And then a month later, they were like, nope, you don't have that anymore. And I was like, yeah, you just take it away from people. That's kind of weird. Okay. I thought like maybe you would grandfather people in if they had been partnered prior to the change, but nope. They just were like, nope, not anymore.
That's what you'd think too. If you've been partnered for years, you've clearly made an impact on YouTube and you've helped them at least get some ad revenue in return, that they would find a way to be like, you know what, we're going to find a way to, maybe we'll use the algorithm to push your channel up a bit, so that you come back into the partner program, because their algorithm can make or break your channel, right? Like it's like a switch they can turn off and on.
Absolutely can. Yeah. I mean, you have firsthand experience, right? I mean,
yeah. Well, like it's weird. Like it's doing a little bit better now than it was the week that I made that video, but it's still showing pretty bad signs. Like what was it? Not my last market mover video, but the one before that, even though the last one didn't do that well either, but the one before that was the first time I've ever seen my video not hit 1,000 views by the time I woke up in the morning.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God, like It was like it was weird because I already made that video before when my video didn't even do that bad. Like this is even worse than what
Right.
stirred me to make that video.
To make the other video, yeah.
Yeah, and it was a weird thing where I wasn't even upset. I just kind of like laughed. I was like what the heck? Like, all right, cool, we're good. Like I didn't even care. Like at this point, I'm like, whatever. I'm just gonna keep making content now. Like
Yeah.
it's not gonna stop me from making Magic the Gathering videos. So, and I know that Magic the Gathering specifically is a very hard genre to create on YouTube because you look at so many Pokemon creators and their channels are blowing up. I don't know if it's their marketing is being put into that, but like when it comes to Magic, it's almost like they're not being pushed as much as Magic content creators. Feels like Wizards of the Coast would rather throw that money into Post Malone marketing for Magic.
I mean, yeah. I think with Pokemon, the thing you're gonna find is, okay. So this is what I'm gonna say is, you should compare Magic the Gathering to other card games and people making videos about those card games that do not have another IP.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So, Pokemon is a very strange one because it has so much support from Nintendo and they're still making new games. So there are a lot of people out there that are fans of Pokemon because of very different reasons. Like people like the Game Boy games, people like the Switch games, people like the Pokemon Go game. Like there are so many avenues of Pokemon being out there to a wider audience than Magic has, right? So Pokemon's going to have just a bigger pool of people that might be interested in the card game, for instance, because it is still Pokemon. It's still cute. It's still Pokemon. Like you still get to have those sort of like, oh, I know this Pokemon from Gen 1, or I know this Pokemon from Gen 3, or whatever, right? Like regardless of how you got into Pokemon, you're going to understand the game from a very high level of, these are the Pokemon that I enjoy. So I like looking at them on cards,
Yeah.
even if I don't play the game or understand how the game is played. It doesn't matter because it's got the Pokemon that I know. So I understand why Pokemon channels are a lot more popular than Magic, right?
Yeah.
From that aspect.
The IP.
So
Yeah.
I think it's very hard to compare the two in the aspect of, why are Pokemon blowing up way more than Magic? Well, I think we know the reason, basically, right? Is because the IP is just way broader than Magic is. And that's something that Wizards is trying to change, right? Much like you mentioned, right? Like getting people like Cassius Marsh and Post Malone, people who have a following outside of, this culture of maybe what you would call nerd games, or Magic the Gathering fantasy games, right? Like,
yeah.
Like this, you've got a professional football player. Well, you're going to pull in people from that crowd who are like, what is this game that he's playing and why is he so interested in it, right? And now you've got Post Malone, who's like this huge artist who is going to pull in people from all over the place. They're going to be like, why is he playing this game? What is so good about it? Why does he like it, right? And you're probably not going to get as much interest as you would, like Pokemon does, with having video games that other people can actually just play and enjoy and learn about the game without having to follow someone who's famous and be like, oh, he's into it, so I must be into it, kind of thing, right?
Yeah. I guess also like whether or not they approach Post Malone about this, like these are things that to consider. I know they try to the best to make it as organic as possible. But even like when it comes to the risk that they would be willing to take when it comes to getting an influencer that works with the brand properly, like to me, I'm just like, really, Post Malone, that was the brand? But like then if you think about it, like Pokemon took a huge risk, like with Logan Paul, because he's a pretty polarizing character, right? But it grew the game, like it made the game bigger. It worked. So it like, would Magic take the same type of, would they be as risk taking as that, like approaching like a content creator like at the size of Logan Paul? I mean, they did Mr. Beast.
I was gonna say, I was like,
but here's the thing about Mr. Beast though, is Mr. Beast, he's got more of like the good guy image. Like that's what I'm saying. Pokemon took a big risk with Logan Paul, and
yes.
Logan Paul's it seemed way more authentic than like if you looked at like the way Mr. Beast, it seemed like he didn't really care about Magic. He was just like, yeah, okay, you just like sitting in a chair. Yeah, I guess I'm doing this thing now.
Oh, I didn't watch it at
You
all,
didn't
so I
watch
have
it?
no.
Yeah, so like that one didn't seem authentic. The Logan Paul one, it seemed authentic. Like maybe he genuinely likes Pokemon cards. Like
Right.
this is something that he
But again,
enjoys.
that goes back to the higher level IP thing, right? I mean, he may have connection to Pokemon from when he was younger,
Yeah.
playing it on the other systems, right? So like, it's very different, right? Like getting someone who is so big on YouTube to essentially be like a brand influencer for your
Mm,
game,
yeah.
they have to know the game, right? And here's the difference, right? Is that Post Malone appears to know the game and play, right?
Yeah, no, I've seen
Right?
pictures of him playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I would imagine that that means he has an interest in the game, probably from prior to becoming famous, as it were,
Oh yeah,
right?
I'm sure he has played it for sure. Like tons of
Yeah.
people have in the past, but
Exactly. But again, the market for people playing Magic is much smaller than it is Pokemon, right?
hmm,
Because Pokemon is worldwide, and not only that, but it's been around almost as long as Magic has, right? Like I would say Magic's what, 26, 27 years at this point, and Pokemon's probably what, 15 to 20, somewhere in there, right? Like I think the first Pokemon game came out in like 94. Is that right? Somewhere
yeah.
in there, right?
Magic 93, I think, for
Oh
Magic.
yeah, Magic was 93.
Yeah.
So Pokemon must have been a little later than that then.
Pokemon
It's
was
like
90,
99,
97 or 98.
somewhere in there, right?
Yeah.
So they're pretty close in age, right? When you think about it. But Pokemon has had a broader availability, right? Is what I would
Hmm.
say.
Oh yeah, no, it's well, if you think about IP, you can't compare them. Like Pokemon was, it was a cartoon, it was a card game, it
Oh
was a
yeah,
video game, it was a movie.
I forgot about the
Yeah,
cartoon, and yeah, the
yeah.
movie too. Yeah,
It's
there's so
literally it's
many.
massive.
Yeah,
Toys.
there's
It's
so many
yeah, it's you
avenues.
can't even compare them in that sense. And that's
Yeah.
why it's obvious why Pokemon's bigger, but I think Magic has to find a way to make its brand bigger without I think without losing its authenticity.
Mm.
But like right
It's
now, like they're branding with other things, like the
uh,
Walking Dead, they did all these things. So like I think they're trying to expand their brand by collaborations.
mhm.
But Pokemon, they don't even really need to collaborate. Their brand is so well known. They could just say, "Hey, open up these Pokemon cards. You're a big YouTuber. You're an actor," and then
Mhm.
people get more into it. Magic, they had that show on Netflix. I have no idea if that's even still happening. Is that happening still? I feel like the news from that is just falling off the face of the earth.
Yeah, I don't know. Like they said it was coming, and then I haven't heard anything
I
since.
was
So
so
I don't know.
excited about that too because I was
It
gonna
looked really
tell people to
good.
watch it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it looked really good. I don't know.
I don't know. See, this is what I mean. Like I feel like that should be crucial to get people into Magic. A Netflix show would be, I think, bigger than any influencer opening Magic cards or playing.
Yeah,
That would
and I
be
mean,
the ultimate.
I think this also leads into like them, like they're trying to branch out into other things too, right? So like they had Magic Puzzle Quest on mobile, right? Which was quite different than how Magic is actually played, but it had like the characters and the lore and all that kind of stuff. I don't think that was like maybe the right avenue to go down. I know Puzzle Quest, like those puzzle type match games are very popular,
Yeah.
but I think when you try to overcomplicate them the way the Magic one was, you're going to lose people because now they have to do things other than just match gems, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the thing about match games for most people out there who play them is that they're doing it just to match the gems and see the colors and beat the level and whatever, right? The Magic one had you needing to cast cards to affect the board state and all this kind of stuff. So it was a little bit more complicated. Great for people who want to like learn that or enjoy that kind of like extra level of strategy to the match games. Great, but not everybody is going to be into that. Then you've got Magic Legends, right?
Mm,
That just came
mm.
out, and you know, getting into an MMO, sure, great. Is it widely available to everybody? No, because it's only on PC, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. I mean, the best one here to compare to is Hearthstone, right? Hearthstone doesn't have physical cards.
Mhm.
Does it have a bigger following? Yes, it does.
Online for gaming, yeah,
It
online for
does,
sure. Yeah, for sure.
right? It absolutely does. Well, what did they do that Wizards didn't do? Well, they made it accessible on mobile almost immediately,
Yeah,
right?
and they knew that
Like,
that's where they're going to get the most people. Everyone has a phone, that's the best way to connect with people.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. And so Magic is on mobile now. Great. But it's almost like it's too late. Do you know what I mean?
So wait, MTG Arena is on mobile now?
Yeah, it's on
When did
mobile
that
now.
happen? When did that actually happen?
I don't know, a couple months ago.
Huh.
I go back like January-ish.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I have a pretty old iPhone. I don't even know if I'd be able to properly play it on this. And it's got a small screen. So
I mean, let's be fair. Magic has had a number of iterations over the years on, you know, electronic platforms, right?
Yeah.
It's had MTGO's been around forever. It's still around now. Of course, they now have Arena, but then they also had all of the Duels of the Planeswalker games, right? They
Yeah,
came out
that's
on, Steam or on PC or whatever, or Xbox or what have you. None of them were really optimized. Let's be fair, right? Like, and honestly, even with Arena, I don't think it's optimized to the best capability to run on mobile, right? Like they've put it on mobile because people were asking for it for so long, and it needs to be there. It absolutely needs to be there. I have a feeling that their UI and all of that is still just not optimized in the best fashion. So things are a little bit clunky. Maybe there's too, and Magic is one of those games too that's very complicated. It's got a huge rule set, right? Just absolutely huge rule set. And so, unlike Hearthstone, you can't just be like plunk your creature down on the table. You get to choose where it attacks, right? Like you click and drag it to be like, I attack like this. Magic isn't like that. Magic is I cast the spell. Oh, my opponent has interaction on my turn. Okay, hold on, right? Like, and now when you're in a mobile environment, that is like you got to keep that connection live, like constantly. It's not just like I took my turn and now it's your turn. Go ahead, right?
Yeah.
You have to be able to real time react, and it's harder to do on mobile, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to wrap my head around it. Like I was shocked that it was actually brought to mobile. I thought it would have been see, that's what I'm saying. Even the marketing behind that, how come I didn't know about that? I make Magic Gathering content and I had no idea that they already brought it to mobile. So that's something that they'll have to sort out as well. But again, it takes me back to the Netflix question, where if you want to reach a wider range of audience, a broader audience, there's no better way to do that than Netflix. I mean, because you don't need to play it. You can consume it that way just by watching it and kind of understanding some history, some lore. Maybe you'll understand a little bit more about Planeswalkers' backstories.
And honestly, I think they went the right way with making it animated. Right?
Yeah. They can
Because
get away with showing more too.
Exactly. Like, don't get me wrong. I would love to see a live action MTG themed show or movie or whatever. Sure, it would probably be fantastic if they did the special effects correctly. But I think making it animated, you're going to make it more accessible to people of all ages. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, you're not going to sit your 10-year-old down to watch a live action fantasy show about some card game that they know nothing about, right? And there's no like, I think the animated way is the best way to go just to start. Then they can move into, it's going to be interesting too, because there's so much lore that they have to work with from MTG. And it's going to be interesting to see how they like try to get new people interested in the storyline who have not already been following it for years, right?
Yeah, no, that's why I think maybe doing animation would definitely be the best route, because you can get away with showing more. Even like the budgets, you don't need it to be as big. If you're doing a live action, Magic Gathering show, I imagine you'd have to have a crazy budget, bigger than Lord of the Rings. So,
probably.
well, if you're going to do it right, you'd have to do it bigger than Lord of the Rings.
For sure.
So, I mean,
and let's be honest, Hasbro has that money. They just don't want to spend it.
No. Well, although Wizard of the Coast is one of the biggest brands in Hasbro right now, like their intellectual properties for sure. They have a massive arm on it. But yeah. But either way, it was a fantastic talk. I'm gonna wrap things up. It was fantastic talking to you, Mr. Bevers. Where can people find you?
People can find me over on youtube.com/Mr. Bevers, or you can find me over on twitch.com or twitch.tv/Mr. Bevers. And then, of course, I'm on Twitter at Mr._Bevers because someone had Mr. Bevers already, unfortunately. And I have to have that underscore in the name, unfortunately. And then Instagram, I'm there as well. Mr. Bevers as well. Everything is just Mr. Bevers. Nice and easy.
Well, thanks again for talking with me, and I'm going to leave all your links in the description below as well. So remind me when I'm actually going to post this video up, because I'm going to do that for you.
I'll give you my link tree. It's just easier. Yeah.
There you go. The easiest way to do it. Okay, well, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you learned something. I hope you guys found this video informative and enjoyed the conversation. So with that being said, I will see you guys in the next video. Being a patron will help me produce more market movers and add to the funds that I will use for my random buys and also to my coffee fund, because I drink a lot of coffee for these videos. And here you can see a link below in the description that will give you all the tiers and what you get in each tier. So I hope you guys click and think about joining. And with that, I'll see you next video. Think about supporting the channel in that way. If not, subscribe, like, leave a comment, and I will see you again in the next video.